And one of the things you told me years ago when I met you, you said that you had a memory from the war. What was that story you were telling me?
Oh, but the plane that crashed down in Ballinamona. Yeah, well, there was several. There was one crashed in Morris Castle too, but the bloke was dead. He was washed in dead. But there was one in Ballinamona, and Father Wheeler and Billy Welsh that lived beside us, they used to go down there once a week to play cards. They used to play cards in this house beside the sea. And they were playing this night anyhow, and we were in bed, but we heard the plane go over, and you could tell it was in trouble because it was making funny noises. But anyhow, then there was an explosion, and thought no more about it. But they were in this house by the sea, and I went down there, and they ran when they heard it, and there was two young lads coming in a boat out of it. The oldest was 19, he was the pilot. The next one was 18, two Germans. Children. They came in with their hands up because they thought they were in England. So Father Wheeler called out to him, he said, "Put your hands down." He said, "You're not in England, you're in Ireland." Yeah. Yes.
Two chaps.
Two chaps, yeah.
And what happened to them?
Well, he brought them home with him, and of course they were wringing wet and everything else, so he put them in his bed. And he went down to say Mass the next morning, and there was a little priest here, parish priest, and he was as cross. Oh dear. He was really cross. Father Sinnott, I think his name was. But anyhow, he said, "Go home. He said, you'll be shot. There's Germans loose here." And Father Wheeler said, "What?" He said, "What Germans?" He said, "Germans came down the plane last night." He said, "They're loose here and they've got guns and they'll shoot you. Go home." "No," he said, "I won't go home," saying Mass. So I kept on to him to go home anyhow. So I said no. So he didn't. He went on to say Mass. But anyhow, that afternoon, we were in the take and we saw the soldiers come to collect them in a lorry. And they were sitting in the back of the lorry, going down, and they took them to Enniscorthy, I think, that night. I'm not quite sure about that. But I think then the next day or a couple of days after, they took them to Kildare, to the prison camp. And they were put in there, and they were there until the end of the war. But they sent Father Wheeler the most beautiful gold watch. Oh, it was absolute beauty. They sent him, and his parents used to write to him every year, every Christmas. And they used to send him things, So
So the young Germans sent Father Wheeler
yeah, his parents used to send him things. They didn't forget what he had done for them,
And was this during the war or after the war?
Well, this would have been after the war. Like when they came down, it was during the war.
Mm-hmm.
But when they went home after the war, this was
So they were about 19 years of age.
Well, the oldest one was 19. The youngest one was 18. That's when they came down.
And did you ever get a chance did you see them at all when they were?
No, only sitting in the back of the lorry as they went away with the soldiers. Yeah.
And were you in their uniform there still, or were they in normal clothes?
No, they must have been in the uniforms, mustn't they? I can't remember. But they must have been, because they would have no normal clothes to go on them at that stage.
And what was the kind of chat in the schoolyard that day, do you remember?
Oh, all the chat was this, to get a look at these Germans. We thought they'd appear different. Yes, but we didn't get a close look at them, of course. They were surrounded by soldiers.
And Father Wheeler then was a curate here in the village, wasn't
He
it?
was, yes. Yeah.
How long did he stay? When did he leave?
Oh, he was here quite a while. He was a lovely man, really was. Well, he was here when I went away, so I don't know how long he stayed after.
He used to play football for Wexford.
That's right, he did, yeah. He was a fine man. Yeah. Yes, he loved the football. He'd talk about that all day. He used to come in to see my grandmother. He'd get up and sit on the table, and the two of them would talk football all the day. It's great.